Hi there, I'm Nancy Nash with Starfish Strength, and today I want to give you my tips for taking off weight and keeping it off. As you might know, I lost over 170 pounds, gained some muscle back, and I'm now a certified personal trainer, group fitness instructor, behavior change specialist, and sports nutrition specialist. When I look back at my own weight loss journey, I lost a very unglamorous 0.5 pounds per week. I know that would not be satisfying for a lot of people to look at, but it did make me appreciate every time I kept a pound off, like really kept it off. And the goal here is to make small, sustainable changes. So take your time, let yourself tackle these things one at a time or two at a time if you can, and start with the one that feels easiest to you. So my first tip for you is to start tracking your nutrition. Did you know that tracking your nutrition alone has been shown to help people lose weight? Maybe that's not too surprising. Just observing our own behavior and making it more mindful can really help us start taking steps towards our goals. So I'm going to recommend that you track for 4 to 5 days, that you go through a weekend or whatever your weekend is, just because we tend to behave a little bit differently when we're in our work week versus the days that we have off. And I would recommend starting right now and not even waiting until tomorrow, so you don't get all up in your head about it. Just as accurately as possible, log what you're eating. So start tracking your nutrition real soon. So my second recommendation is probably not too much of a surprise. It is to start exercising. It can just be 10 minutes a day. I don't know if you've heard the term exercise snacking, but that kind of talks more about exercise adding up throughout the day. So maybe it is a 10-minute walk on my break, and maybe it's 10 minutes of strength training when I get home, and that's all I have time for. That is so much better than nothing at all. So let it add up in your brain, figure out where you have time for exercise in your life, and get yourself started. And just adding on to that, I am gonna say that beginning to do some strength training, if you're doing none at all right now, is really important in losing weight. So when you start strength training, you're going to start adding lean muscle to your body, and you're going to burn calories more efficiently. We need cardiovascular exercise too, but I know a lot of us are wired when we want to lose weight to really think that cardio is king. Don't abandon strength training. If you're already doing cardio, 2 to 3 times a week, I would start adding a couple strength training workouts. And like I said, if you're doing none, that might just be 10 minutes right now. If you want more specific recommendations on how to add on to your program, feel free to shoot me a private message or leave me a comment below, but definitely make sure that you start exercising if you're not already. So my next tip is to put a little time and energy into finding an ideal calorie range to eat within to lose weight sustainably. So most calorie trackers are using one of 2 equations based on your height, weight, age, sex, and activity level to calculate your basal metabolic rate, or your BMR, and your daily calorie expenditure, and then spit out to you a recommendation on how many calories you should be eating based on your weight loss goal. So your basal metabolic rate, or BMR, is the number of calories you would burn at complete rest. So this is just like your operational calories to keep your body alive. So think of like me parked out on the couch all week, just sleeping. So I definitely don't want to eat below that number of calories, since those are my survival calories. And then my daily calorie expenditure would be how many calories I need in order to maintain my current weight. So on the days when I'm more active, I should expect that my body is going to need a little bit more to refuel. And on my rest days, my body should need a little bit less. Does it always work out perfectly like that? It sure doesn't. So consider that even if you and I have the same height, weight, age, we're the same sex, we still have a different body composition. So we have a different lean mass, that's my muscle, my organs, my bones, everything that's not fat. Lean mass to fat ratio. My endocrine system is not the same as yours. My metabolism is not exactly the same as yours. So I'm saying these things not to frustrate, but really help you consider that, like, even if this app is telling you that this is the right number of calories for you and it doesn't seem to be working, maybe we just need to tweak this a little bit. Finding your ultimate calorie range, I would think about giving yourself 10 to 15% of your calories as kind of flex. So for most people, that's going to be 200 to 350 calories if you want to think about it that way. Make sure that you journal how you feel, how hungry you are, how satisfied you feel, so that you can continue fine-tuning this for yourself. And you know, if you want my help, I'm just an application away. So building upon that, I would recommend putting some energy into improving your diet quality. Now, it can be really overwhelming to tackle all of these things at once, so just keep in mind that these are some basic guidelines that you can test one at a time, and you can take as long as you need to do that. So depending on my client's activity level, goals, age, I recommend a protein intake anywhere from 25% to 40%. And I know that's a really huge range. As someone that does a lot of strength training and is pretty active, I myself eat between 30 to 35% and sometimes even as much as 40%. If you're someone that is really trying to keep serious muscle mass on and you burn calories really efficiently, you might be eating closer to 40%. But maybe your goal is just health and 25% is already a goal for you because when you look at it, you're eating 15%. So if you find that you're not getting that 25%, then we do want to think about some ways to boost that. My brain is still more wired to want to eat carbohydrates than it is to eat protein. So I've found that adding protein snacks throughout my day really helped me. We just want to think about our sources of protein. The leaner the better, but I totally understand needing to throw a steak in there every now and then. So things like cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, I add protein milk to smoothies, to soups. Maybe it's throwing in a protein shake. Maybe it's having some scrambled eggs with your breakfast, or changing up your breakfast routine entirely if it tends to be sugary and sweet, which mine really used to be. So for most people, keeping fat to no more than 25% of your daily calories is advisable, and keeping saturated fat no more than 6%. Looking at the sources of fat, we can choose healthier fats. And some of us are just getting too much fat overall. So maybe starting to measure it when I'm adding it into cooking, even, measuring the amount of butter that I add on to things after I'm done cooking or onto my breakfast toast. Maybe finding that I'm satisfied with a little bit less. When it comes to carbohydrates, we have simple carbohydrates and we have complex carbohydrates. So simple carbohydrates are things that my body can turn into fuel very quickly, which can be really handy. But if it is a rest day when I am parked up on the couch, that's not really what I want to be eating a lot of. So whenever possible, I recommend getting half of your daily carbohydrates from whole foods, from complex carbohydrates. So fruit, vegetables, whole grains, legumes. And if I know that I'm getting my complex carbohydrates, then I kind of know what I have left over for carbohydrate calories, and then the rest can go to the simpler carbohydrates. So my bread, my pasta, the sugary sweets that I like. Again, finding that balance so that I'm still working towards my goals, but I'm still getting to eat some things that I really enjoy. And speaking of carbohydrates, making sure that you're getting at least 30 grams of fiber a day for pretty much everyone is highly advisable. So fiber helps our metabolism. It actually helps us burn calories. So getting more than that is okay too. It's been linked with good cardiovascular health. It's also really important for our digestive health and our gut health. So there are a whole bunch of reasons to emphasize fiber. So my next tip is to have some planned treats within your nutrition plan. Not everyone is going to be a fan of this tip, but I've really found that for the long haul, for this to be a lifestyle change and not just some fad diet that I do for January and let myself fall off February, I really have to make sure that my cravings, that the enjoyment that food does bring, the social aspect of it. We enjoy cooking for people. We enjoy celebrating with food, that I have this in my long-term plan. Even if you do give yourself 30 days with no sugar, I'm going to suggest that you start thinking about how you're going to invite sugar back into your life, because it's really hard to be without the things that we've previously associated with joy. For me, a planned treat might look like every 2 weeks or so having a meal out. Now, for some people, that might sound like not eating out enough. It depends on where you're at, right? I've been paying attention to my nutrition for a long time. Initially, it was just about having a smaller piece of cake and, not eating cake for breakfast, saving that treat for a celebration. Starting to plan out the treats that you're going to look forward to, I think, is really key. There's one more thing I want to say with this. Looking at food as a reward is something that for some of us has been really emotionally and mentally damaging. So I do want to be a little bit careful with this advice. I don't want to advise that you do your workouts and just dream of cake the whole time. I will say that if I can start being more mindful and enjoy the things around me as I'm having my treat, I can slow down. I can appreciate the atmosphere, appreciate the people that I'm with, and realize that food as enjoyment is really just more about enjoying life. That can help me make a more satisfying choice, and it can also help me be okay with that delayed gratification, that I no longer just need to eat ice cream out of the freezer. This is something I do just to celebrate and to really enjoy the summer with my friends. Again, if you want some more specific advice on how to attack some of the things that have been difficult for you, feel free to reach out to me. But in the meantime, start thinking, if you're, being really restrictive right now, about how you want to invite those foods back into your life that you like for the long haul. My last tip for you today is really to make this a living, growing, changing plan and to open your mind to what's possible rather than just making this into a very rigid, stagnant plan that must stay the same for the next 10 years. As someone that's kept off the majority of the body weight that I lost for the past 10 years, I can tell you that my plan, my way of eating and exercise has changed more times than I can count. But that's because I was learning, I was growing, my goals changed. The reasons that I wanted to do this became deeper, they became more profound. So as you're exploring in this journey, just know that this will change, and that's okay. Try not to get married to the plan that gave you success if you had that 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. What your body needs right now might be very, very different from that. So if you want some more help exploring the universe of options, let me know. But just keep in mind to let this evolve as it needs to evolve. And when you find yourself at a plateau, know that there is another way forward. You're not alone and you're not going to be stuck forever. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope that you found something that was helpful to you that you can use to seize your inner star. I'd be happy to speak with you about your specific plans and how you might be able to modify those to get to where you want to go. And in the meantime, please feel free to check out our other videos. Feel free to share in the comments with me and with other people the tips that have helped you lose weight and keep it off for life, because we're all here to help one another. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. So most calorie trackers are using one of two equations based on your height, age, sex, come on, activity level, height, weight, age,